He showed up.
Huh? Well, mine is, I don't have it loaded. I should bring it, but it would look terrible if it was me. Just sitting there playing games on it. That's right.
Twenty, 19, 18. Y'all doing Lake Carroll Saturday?
Next Saturday, next week, Saturday.
Hey, some people have already been down there fishing.
Well, I'm gonna try to go.
I don't know what it is. Get it.
The room full, but I'm not seeing it.
Chief, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Bow heads, please.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, we Miss Sarah, are you handling this one?
Yes, I am.
She's got her own speaker there.
Good evening. I'll bring these ladies up in a second. They didn't want to be up here the whole time, but just so everybody knows, we have been working with the City of Temple for just over a year, and one of our tasks was to convert them to a more modern system. The system they were on was like an IBM green screen terminal type system where you type the commands. So it's been a long process. And now that the conversion has finally happened, been able to bring along two of my staff to help with that, and so I wanted to recognize them tonight. If y'all will come on up. I do have a great staff overall, but these two ladies have been integral. Department, and when our utility manager retired last summer, she took over our utility bills. So if you've received a bill, that was Ashley's handiwork. So no booing. She's practically lived in Temple for the past 6 weeks or so, training their staff. She has fixed issues, found issues, fixed some more issues. She's whipped some of their staff into shape. The ladies over there would like to keep her permanently. I said, no, they can't have her. So I'm thankful for Ashley. Louise this is Louise Shambra. She's been with our city for a year and a half now. And when she came, our internal controls for purchasing were a little bit lacking. We had 34 staff had credit cards. I think there was one drawer and one filing cabinet of purchase orders. And since then, she's filled up multiple filing cabinets, I think. So we have much tighter internal controls on our purchasing, and Louise has been a big part of that. So she used that knowledge and that information to go train Temple, their accounts payable staff, and their different departments. So thankful for you, Louise. This is a big accomplishment to convert anybody from an old system to a new system, so I just wanted to recognize y'all for that. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Yes, let me come down.
You scare the roaches out of the kitchen at night.
And I just want to echo. Okay, next we have our
Sergeant Sims is on vacation, was not able to be here. He appreciates it very much, but he's not going to be here.
Oh, we could do it again.
So I'll accept this award.
Celebrity amongst us somewhere. There he is. And I think he wants to make a presentation or at least a statement to the council and to the citizens of Villa Rica. So I'd like to put him in at your convenience, maybe after the city manager report.
Okay. That would be State Representative.
Mr. Mayor, also, I'd like to propose that we add an item to the agenda to allow for an executive session at the end of the agenda, which would be a meeting with legal counsel to discuss pending or threatened litigation.
And I'll make a motion that we adopt the agenda as revised.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? We have an agenda. And moving into that agenda, council updates.
Just real quick, this isn't my update, but I can ask this question now. Elisa, I was out of town and couldn't print a new agenda. Do you have any additional, the revised agenda? Do you have any of the revised ones? I could not print one. I'm not taking yours, am I? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Just real quickly, since I knew we were recognizing employees, I was just thinking how many times there's a whole bunch of them that we don't get to say thank you to because we don't see you on a regular basis. The city manager and the staff was, and just wanted to echo in how appreciative I am, and I'm sure the entire council, of so many of our people that work so hard. And we're not around to say thank you most of the time. Unless you work in the front office, we'll see you sometime. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is each one of you have been provided, thanks to Ken Denny for giving us these extras, one of the special issues of West Georgia Living, and the entire edition is about the Greenbelt in Carrollton and how they did it, who headed it up, and everything else. And just real quickly, our illustrious lawyer who does his best to keep us out of trouble is highlighted in the back of the edition on how the Greenbelt saved his life.
I believe that would be.
didn't see this issue, or you don't get the Times Georgian, I get it because I get the Times Georgian, you might want to steal one from your neighbor or see how you can obtain one. That's it.
And if you'll notice, that whole story is predicated around missing a city council meeting, and it was one of these.
For good reason.
Other council issues or comments, suggestions? Okay. Thought I was getting a nod. Okay.
Sounds like a drum roll. Couple of things, we've ordered new sod for the library. I'll use his. And with the sod, we'll also be doing some other maintenance on some of the bushes that have died there. Our auditors should be able to present next week at the July meeting for our financial audit. They're completed and should be having their report ready by then. We started to send documentation to Raftelis for our rate study, our water rate study and all, so that process has started. I'm pretty sure this weekend is the Velcro Pygmies is going to be at the mill this weekend, so if you haven't gotten your table or whatever, please do. There will be alcohol sold, but you cannot bring alcohol in, if any of you have questions about that. We had a 1-hour training session today on the new Microsoft Surface Pro with the council. Had a couple of council people, the mayor showed up, went real well, should help us become paperless for the council. We have a ladies self-defense class planned through the police department for next Thursday. It'll be at the PD and also at the Bremen Firing Range. Currently the class is full, but we do have a waiting list if anybody wants to sign up, and we're going to have another firearm safety class this summer. Also get ready for the fireworks celebration, July 3rd.
Just to kind of elaborate. Okay, and with that, we have reached the public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you read my own notes? It
with the folks in Villa Rica, the town I love so much. I, along with Representative Micah Gravely, drafted a resolution and had it presented to the House of Representatives, House Resolution 742, commending the Thomas Dorsey Festival here in Villa Rica coming up the end of this month. Representative Gravely was not in town tonight. He wasn't able to be here with us this evening, and he wanted me to tell you how much he appreciates the opportunity to serve the good folks over on the eastern side of Villa Rica. Working with Micah has been a real privilege and an honor. Obviously, he was a representative when I sat where Jeff was sitting for many years and got to work with him, and it worked out that he is my seatmate. I sit next to him on the floor of the House, and I've been the benefactor of a lot of information and his seniority there in the House, and he's mentored me, and quite honestly, he's been able to show me a lot of things that I needed to know and help me along the way. So I'm very grateful to him, and I know the city of Villa Rica is very grateful to him for his leadership and his willingness to always reach out and be there for us as a city. So just wanted to say that and say we wish Representative Gravely the best and look forward to serving with him again. But House Resolution here, 742, is a resolution commending the Thomas A. Dorsey Festival and for other purposes. Whereas the Thomas A. Dorsey Festival will take place on June 23rd through 24th, 2017 in downtown Villa Rica, Georgia. Whereas considered the father of gospel music, Thomas A. Dorsey was a talented musician, vocalist, and songwriter. And whereas born on July 1, 1899 in Villa Rica, Georgia, to a Baptist minister and a music teacher, Thomas had to drop out of school at 11 years old in order to support his family. Yet by the 1920s, he was slowly rising to fame. By 1928, his song, Tight Like That, became a best-selling record, which sold more than 7 million copies. Whereas he is credited with publishing more than 400 jazz and blues songs and composing hundreds more, while also establishing the first black gospel publishing company, Dorsey House of Music. And whereas Thomas's music has touched the lives of many, including Martin Luther King Jr., President Lyndon B. Johnson, and he has received distinction for his talent, including being inducted into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, as well as being the first African American to be elected to the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. And whereas this outstanding and beloved individual passed away on January 23rd of 1993, but has left behind an incredible legacy that will continue to live through his music, which is still appreciated throughout the world. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of this body commend the Thomas A. Dorsey Festival for preserving and promoting the legacy of Thomas A. Dorsey, for spreading his music across the great state of Georgia. Be it further resolved that the Clerk of the House of Representatives is authorized and directed to make appropriate copies of this resolution available for the distribution to the public and press. In the House, read and adopted March 24th, 2017, attested William L. Rivers, Clerk of the State House of Representatives.
We appreciate you, Jay.
Thank you, sir.
Now we're scaring the rats out of it. Not the roaches, the rats.
Miss Shirley, would you join?
Time for a picture. Picture time.
Put your shoes on.
I got my shoes on.
Put the rose between two thorns.
Y'all hurry up, Verlin's getting a backache over here.
Be going to sleep here in a minute.
I just want to say to you what a privilege it is to represent House District 68. I'm always available, just a phone call away if I can ever help you with any state issues that you may have with state government or any constituent services. Being a freshman, I'm very limited in the power and authority and the things that I can do. I hope to be able to work my way up. One thing I can do is help you with any teaching services. If you might need any assistance, we'll take care of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. Jay, Phil? Okay, we have.
John. I just wanted to, as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board, I know, I think I speak for the other members, but we would really see. It's my understanding that it is due. So that's really cutting it close. As you know, the city's grown a lot. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm not sure where it's at, but we definitely need to get started on that. Have the people in place and the professionals we need to do that. So I just like to ask the council and the mayor to just keep that in mind as you're doing your business. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Hunt, 5456 Peachtree Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia. I just want to tell you how amazingly good it is to hear and see how Villa Rica is doing between the award, the Green Belt, and the Paperless Initiative. It's amazingly great. I just want to commend you and thank you and appreciate all the good that y'all are doing.
Mr. Hunt, if you haven't, would you sign in? You may have already done that, but.
I did it outside.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Thomas Flowers. I live at 3107 Golfers Way in Mirror Lake. I'd like to speak in favor of the proposed traffic calming device to be installed there. That we hope that this device could be very effective in calming some of the speeders and reckless drivers we have. We appreciate you considering the dangerous effects of that piece of street and acting to take measures in order to protect the citizens that live there. I'm not probably roundabout. Intention, I think it is, of this body to eliminate the Board of Zoning Appeals. It looks like it's moving forward. I'm currently serving as a member of that board along with Matthew Mondahan in the back there. And quite frankly, I think I'm speaking for his feelings as well. We're ready to see that go. We think it fulfills a useful purpose. It takes some burden off of the shoulders of this body and frees up your time. And it can be a time-consuming set of tasks. So my my thought is that we reconsider that, and maybe you need to amend it or something, but I would leave that provision in the city charter. And lastly, let me say,
Ms. Flowers. Thank you. Any other public comments?
I will spend I've got it done.
Thank you, sir.
I won't pretend to be John. For talking with our chief of police. Getting closer to 61. It is my on that road. Thank you.
And please sign in if you haven't done so. Anybody else? Okay, I okay. All right.
Stephanie has loaded that to be on the website. It'll go on tomorrow morning.
And I encourage it's not on here.
It was in our.
I don't know where to find it.
53,762. That was 4 separate purchases.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? It is unanimous. Okay, tab A.
Thank you.
You are now state recognized, but you can't leave, so that,
Unless he brings PowerPoints up.
Well, we do have a PowerPoint today, so I guess my time is limited with the city now.
It's worth it.
I've spent the main feature of today's meeting. I did want to say that today or this month marks the 1-year anniversary that we unveiled the master plan for downtown. I would like to take an opportunity to thank some groups that were very instrumental in making that happen. First and foremost, we'd like to thank the steering committee. That's a local group that helped see that process through to make sure that we had a product that represented the community. I'd like to also thank the DDA, who I just started working with in July, but we formed a very good relationship, and they've been very proactive in doing a lot of the projects downtown, and so that's been very beneficial. The Main Street Board, who when I first came here was just a very infancy stage, and they've really come along to do a lot of things. The former mayor who's left, and of course the current mayor and council who officially adopted the master plan, which gave us the authority to go ahead and move forward with it, and the Carl Vincent Institute and GMA, who actually helped fund the project and actually put the project together. And also, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Janet Hyde, who actually wrote the grant to get the designation to do the Renaissance plan. So real quickly, why have a plan? Well, quite frankly, as I've always said, and has been documented, that we're one of the fastest growing cities in the state. Of course, that has slowed down when the recession happened, but as we've seen in the last
12 months or so, that's picked up quite considerably for Villa Rica. And if you just look, I think every development that went dormant during the recession has an active construction site in it. So we're seeing those pick up. So if you don't plan, then you're planning to fail. And so it's important for us to have a blueprint on how to move forward and how to grow the city in a responsible way. And I know sometimes planners get a bad negative stereotype, but the reality is if you don't have good planning, you end up with a community that nobody wants to live in. The process that we underwent to come up with the master plan was a three-part process. It involved a lot of dealing with small focus groups, talking to individuals, talking to specialty groups about what we wanted to see Villa Rica be in the future. We then took those ideas and concepts and went into a design phase where we put pictures and images to those ideas. And now we're in the third part where we're implementing and doing more design that's more succinct to construction designs and things like that. There were a lot of groups that participated. This is just a indication of some of the segments that we talked to as it related to this master plan. This is also specific groups that we spoke with, and if you can see, it really encompassed a lot of people in the community. As I tell people, a community that's right at 15,000 people, for us to have engaged 1,000 people in some way or another with this master plan is a giant feat, because most communities half our size don't even reach that many people. So it's really a testament to the buy-in that the community has to the plan, and really seeing Villa Rica be something that we want to be a part of 15, 20 years from now. So what we did with this is a Wordle. We asked people, those 1,000 people, to just give us one word to explain what they felt Villa Rica was today. And the bigger the word, the more people use that particular word. So you can see the things and the way people feel about the community now. And not necessarily all of them are bad words. So on the flip side of that, we asked people where they wanted to see Villa Rica in 10 years. And so using one word, we still see what word got the most feedback. And of course, vibrant is the word most associated with what people would like to see Villa Rica. From those focus groups, we found what are our top issues. And the top issues are the things that we're working on in the master plan. Parking being one of those issues, connectivity and walkability being another issue, the look, which is the aesthetics, and continue to grow as a destination. And that's really what we're going to talk a lot about today, is the destination component of this. And there'll be tons of other things that will address the other four groups, but today we're just talking about destination. One of the things that came out of the master plan, and probably the largest of the project, is a hotel, downtown hotel conference center development, and that was a recommendation that came from the group that is in the master plan. And what we did was, while it's nice to say, hey, we want a hotel conference center downtown, it doesn't necessarily work that way. So we had to do some due diligence to get us to the point where we could even see if it was feasible to do that. So under the direction of the Downtown Development Authority, and with the help of the City Council, the Villa Rica Development Authority, and Georgia Power, each contributed to a pot of money where we hired a consulting firm that specializes in determining if a market can sustain a hotel and conference center. We went out and found who most developers thought was the best company to do the market study, and someone who could bring back numbers that the developer would believe. And so we went out and we sought the services of that group. And so the Highland Group is the company that did a market study for downtown Villa Rica. It was about a 6 to 7 week process. They came in the community, did interviews, and looked at other market indicators. And at this time, I'd like to bring up the young lady who actually conducted the market study for Villa Rica, Ms. Kim Bardul, and she will go into the details and the methodology that came up with the findings that she is recommending to the city. Kim? Be careful, it's a little trigger happy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hi. So I am Kim Bardul, and we are a feasibility firm, a hotel development feasibility firm. So what we do is we go into a market, thank you, we study the market in various ways, but when it comes right down to it, we also measure the hotels to see specifically how a market can support a hotel. And we do a lot of statistics, and we buy some data and come to those conclusions, and I'm going to show you some charts. But one of the things that we did that was a bit more specific in this one is that we interviewed some of your businesses. So we had about 15 that we were given to interview. We got about 13 to cooperate, and we asked them questions such as, if there was a hotel in downtown Villa Rica, would they come there? Would they send the people that come in town to do business with them down there? Or would it be better to be out on I-20, what kind of rate would they think is competitive? What kind of amenities would you need to make that guest happy? So that factored into this study, as well as some other things, which I will explain. But how we usually go about a study is we determine the competitive set of hotels. So we determined that Interstate 20 was your biggest demand generator. There's many others. There's, lots of companies and lots of sports, and there's West Georgia College and all of that. But Interstate 20 was the largest demand generator we felt for Villa Rica. So we pulled a competitive set of hotels from Douglasville to Bremen. And I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Bremen or Bremen?
Bremen.
Bremen, okay. I got Douglasville down. And so we measured those hotels, and it was all hotels, economy all the way up to the limited service, Hampton Inns and Holiday Inn Expresses. And those hotels, none have come in new yet for 10 years. So 1996 to 2007 are the lifespans of these hotels so far. They've done quite well, and we got a very large history of those hotels. And over the past 5 years, no new supply has come in, but demand for these hotels has risen at a 6% compound annual average. And average daily rate for these hotels has grown at 4%. So that's good. Villa Rica is in need of some quality lodging. You guys have an Econo Lodge, a Days Inn, and a Comfort. Bremen has some quality lodging. Douglasville has some quality lodging. Carrollton, which we did not determine as competitive because we felt Carrollton is its own market. It's got the college, it's got its own civic center, it's got some newer hotels, it's got a different type of downtown. We felt it was its own market. Yes, there will be some overflow when there's sports events, but we felt that Interstate 20 was the best measurement tool, so we did not include them. So let me show you, okay, how do I do this, sweetie?
Laptops over there.
So I go like that.
There you go.
Which one did you press? Okay.
It only answers to him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you
No
can
one
stay
else
here.
uses it. I'll just push the button for you.
He's not accustomed to power.
I'm the only person in the city to use it.
So these are the measuring tools that we used for the competitive set of hotels along I-20, and these are the quality branded ones. And you can see that directly competitive, we used the Comfort Suites in Villa Rica, and then we used the two in Bremen. And then indirectly competitive is Douglasville, the La Quinta, the Hampton Inn, and the Holiday Inn. The reason that those are indirectly competitive is because those are closer, not only is it a little bit closer to Atlanta, but it's Arbor Mall, it's Six Flags, a little different than what Bremen and Villa Rica are, but still competitive. So that's how we went about choosing a competitive set to base this project against. And you can see 75% in 2017 is our projection for the end of the year at $92 rate. And it's a decently strong market for some good product. The rate is a little on the low side, but the product that we have proposed for your city will fit right in there. So and this is a lot of numbers, I know, but basically what it shows is that the hotels, there's going to be a Holiday Inn Express on Cooley Way, right? It's been under development for a while. Just rode by it just to see if they were doing anything. We project that will open in 2018, and so supply will increase. That hotel will be absorbed in a couple of years, just in time for the True Hotel in Villa Rica to open in 2020, was what we proposed. And you'll see that corporate percentage change is 5% in 2020. In leisure, it's 10%, and in group, it's 15%. And what that means is that we think that although corporate demand won't be as strong for this product as some of the others along Interstate 20, we feel that leisure will because of the festivities, the events, the things that you guys are doing with this town, the connector, everything, as well as just the true nature of a downtown, how fun and how quaint it is. So we feel that the leisure will definitely increase more when this hotel opens, as well as the group, which is, of course, has to do with the convention center. Oops, I think you went past it. So this shows the True, and there's going to be some pictures of the True Hotel. I'm not a Hilton representative. I'm not here to sell the True brand. But based on their brand position, it is the smartest play for your downtown. They are positioning the True brand under the Hampton Inn and Suites. It competes with the Comfort Suites. It competes with the La Quinta Inn. The only other product that's available when we made phone calls to the reps when we were doing our study was a Country Inn and Suites. Well, a Hilton product is going to be much stronger than that product. So we felt that that would definitely be a good play here. And this just shows a 72-room True. The occupancies you'll see at the end of my presentation as well, but this shows how the hotel penetrates the corporate, leisure, and group segment. It penetrates the corporate, as I mentioned before, not quite as strong as the other hotels, just because of the nature of coming into downtown. It has a little bit smaller rooms. They don't offer a hot breakfast. It's just a little bit different than your typical corporate. So yes, you will get some, 95%, but you're not going to get more than your fair share. However, in leisure, you're going to get a stronger push, and in group, you'll get an even stronger push at 160% penetration by the third year. We assumed a 3-year ramp up because the convention center is going to have to get some bookings underway, and the marketing and the awareness of the hotel itself. Oops. And this is just a rate breakout to show you how we arrived at the rate. And the corporate and leisure room rates are not too terribly different. Leisure is going to pay just a little bit more, and then the group rates are usually discounted. So that's a little bit less than the other two. But if you'll go to the next one, this is what the True Hotel currently looks like by Hilton. So if you can envision that over at your development with the museum and the convention center, I think it's a pretty product. Go ahead to the next one, please. And I took a couple of pictures off of the internet today just to show you that that's what a room looks like, and then the lobby. And these here I find interesting are, they're called business pods or internet pods. So instead of a business center, you actually sit in there and you can plug in and do your thing. So the assumptions that we used to propose this hotel, other than the demand interviews, gross regional product, the employment increase that you guys have, traffic counts, all of those things factor in, a blend of those things factor in when we project the hotel. But these assumptions are very important for those projections to happen. And of course, there the Mirror Lake Connector is complete by the opening of the hotel, that the exit is in place with signage, that the master plan and downtown improvements come along in a timely manner, and that the proposed hotel would be located on the back of the site so that the railway won't affect it, and proper soundproofing on that front as well, and a developer, I'm sure, will agree with that. And then the 28,000 square foot conference center, it's important that it not be attached to the hotel, and I believe that's the way it's laid out, but that it be there to generate demand for the hotel. And is that my last one? And so these are the operating results for what we project for the True. It's 72 rooms. It'll start out at 61% occupancy, $89 average room rate. And it'll start gaining steam, 68%, 93%, and it'll stabilize at a 70% rising with your natural inflation with rate in 2022. Those are strong numbers, especially 2022 and forward. It's just going to take a little bit for it to ramp up. But this is right in the wheelhouse of this Hilton product, and I know Hilton is behind it 100%, of course, So you've got the reservation system and the marketability that will not only market the hotel but your town when people go on the internet. So that's how we felt about it, and that's how we came about our projections. Do you have any questions for me? I know it's kind of foreign, but it's kind of what we did. None?
I think I'm good. We did have a little bit of a presentation prior to this.
Okay.
You know, with Carol tomorrow and Chris, and that was very helpful, but I appreciate the additional explanation, even though I don't fully understand how you come up with all the numbers.
Yeah, and I tried not to get too nitty-gritty, but we're statistical. in
I know
nature,
y'all
so-
are trusted by the developers, and
Yes,
that matters,
We've done some
so,
work for Andy
yeah.
Camp, so thank you so much. I think that's it, isn't it?
For you, I didn't mind the PowerPoint. Chris is the only one I give a hard time to about PowerPoints.
Yes, amen, amen. So that concludes that was just for informational purposes. As I mentioned at the work session, what happens from this point forward is we take these findings and we basically market that in hopes of attracting a developer who would want to do that project. We think it's a very viable project. I think that it won't, I don't think it will be difficult for us to attract a developer. And I think that probably in the next 3 to 6 months, we should probably have a proposal for the council as it relates to that. Any questions about that?
Thank you.
Great.
Well, Chris, I may have a question for you. Are you going to talk about the museum component of this, or because I'd like to mention it, I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, actually, we got another slide.
Why did I not?
Plan developed, which speaks to the layout of what would happen in the area. If you will notice, the hotel is in the back part of basically what is the block right next to us there on the opposite side of the amphitheater, which is why she mentioned the Mirror Lake Connector is the #1 bullet point, because this hotel would actually front, that would be the front of their address would be whatever that new road is, the new connector. So that's the important part of this, is that it would front that. And of course, the layout might be a little bit different once the developer gets to it. Obviously, he might decide that he doesn't want the building that long. He wants it along the other way. But this gives an indication of what things will look like. The museum, which is another component that has been something that has been a desire of the community for a long, long time, and I know that the Thomas Dorsey Board has been working for years, since '93, probably even before that, there was a group working to make a Thomas Dorsey Museum happen in Villa Rica. And as I tell people all the time, I'm not the ones with the idea, I'm just a spark plug that kind of makes the engine run. And so I was just happy to work with the Thomas Dorsey Board to make this happen, and we've had some very positive conversations. We've actually have engaged a museum consulting firm to talk about the project. We thought the project was going in one direction, and it actually went in another, which I like because he thinks big. We were thinking about a small 4,000 or 5,000 square foot museum, and he told us that we might as well not waste our time doing that because it's not going to bring anybody off of I-20. So his recommendation was a 30,000 square foot museum that would have national implications and that would bring people from all over the country, maybe even all over the world, to Villa Rica. It comes with a steep price tag, so we're still trying to figure out how do we work through that. But it's about a $10 to $12 million project. But we have had some very fruitful conversations with entities from the tourism segment of the state who feel that there possibly could be some state investment in the project. And then we've had some good conversations with some of our corporate citizens who have the capacity to help with that type of money, and they've been very receptive as well. So While I can't say right now we're getting ready to break ground on it, we are definitely moving in the right direction. And this museum firm will actually help us raise money and write grants for the museum. So it's a very exciting project, and I think it's something that is really, really big for Villa Rica.
Also a parking deck component?
Yes, and a parking deck as well. That will create more parking. As you know, that was one of the 4 points, or one of the 4 main issues, parking. So we'll have a parking deck associated with the block that will help alleviate a lot of the parking issues that we have. And it's right in the midst of the amphitheater and the museum and the hotel, so it'll serve a lot of the area attractions.
Chris, I just want to commend you on your leadership and carrying this thing forward through difficult times in Villa Rica. It has continued to move forward. I'm extremely excited at the prospect of what downtown may become in the next 20 years. And I think this is an important part in that step. I was born and raised, and I
Thank you, sir. And that leads to my second agenda item, which is the Mirror Lake Connector. Obviously, this is a project that was in the works before I came to the city of Villa Rica. I don't have a lot of backstory about discussions that were had and who was promised what. I was just putting forth a product that best benefits the city of Villa Rica, and as I always say when I present something to the council, I'm going to present something that gives us the highest and best use for the city of Villa Rica. And so having said that, we have worked with some concepts of how do we move forward with starting the planning process for the Mirror Lake Connector. And in essence, what we're trying to do is connect the Yellow Star to the Red Star. So the Yellow Star is Shoreline Parkway and Mirror Lake Boulevard, and the Red Star is North Carroll, which is right outside the window here. And what that does is that helps us better connect all of our residents in Mirror Lake to our downtown. And it also helps us connect without having to go over the railroad track, which I don't think people realize how much of an issue that is. For example, when I get off at the Mirror Lake Boulevard exit off 20, there's a train, there's no way for me to get to my office until that train passes. Well, this will alleviate that, and we'll have access to both sides of our city without having to worry about the railroad track or the train being stopped on the tracks, preventing people from getting to the other side of our community. So this is also something to think about. Really what we've done is we've looked at this in a way to make it where it is more pedestrian friendly than vehicular friendly. The proposal is to be able to allow cars to use this connector, but it's tailored for connectivity as far as walkability and not for vehicles. And just to give you some indication of that, the road is broken down, or is proposed to be broken down. And I say that these are ideas and concepts that we got from somewhere else. This road has not been designed or developed. That's what we're asking for money for today, to start the design process. But this is a concept that we're looking at to take advantage of a lot of the traffic calming techniques that roads have to make them very pedestrian friendly. For example, this will have, as one of the original plans or concepts was a 10-foot sidewalk. We're actually proposing sidewalks on both sides of the street with trees on both sides, and then some parts of it will have a median in the middle with vehicular traffic, but then lanes dedicated for non-motorized vehicles, walking, and also for golf carts as well. So it's actually more than what was initially proposed. Another section, which takes out the median but still keeps the sidewalks and the width, helps us just do some cost savings with this project, but without having a median going all the way down the road, but still not taking away from the pedestrian and the golf cart accessibility. And then another section which has less on-street parking, but still has and maintains the sidewalk all the way through. What our desire is that this would also connect to the trailhead that we have just completed, and so all of this will finish up a loop, or be the first really major part of a loop that we're hoping to master design, and I know Vicki is working very diligently on that program. But as I said, these are just ideas and concepts to let people know that this boulevard will not be something that would be accessible by trucks. We're not diverting tractor trailers from Mirror Lake Boulevard or 20 or from 61. This is going to be very specific for cars and service trucks such as UPS and FedEx for deliveries, but it won't be, like you can't, an 18-wheeler can't go through here now. It probably won't be conducive for that at any time. So one of the things that we're looking at is speed tables in the intersections, because this road will obviously cross over some other roads as we start the planning process. The pedestrian will never, their elevation will never change. There'll be hills and stuff, but there won't be going down in crosswalks. They'll be walking straight over crosswalks, and the vehicles will have to go up and down, which will also slow down traffic as well. And so those are some techniques that we think will make this more palatable and be a more responsible road, but also give everyone what they're looking for as far as moving forward with this project. So staff's recommendation is to move forward with the allocation of the funds to begin the planning process. We spoke with the firm today. They assured us that it's something that they could have construction designs ready with 3.5 to 4 months from now, barring any major issues or environmental stuff that they don't know about.
Are you sure we're going to have to look at the Indiana bat and the South Carolina possum?
Barring any unforeseen. I hope we've scared out the I'll entertain any questions.
You said a while ago that the hotel conference center was about a $10 million.
No, we don't have a figure for the hotel. This was the museum.
A museum, just the museum.
Yes, sir.
But you don't have a figure for that. How about the connector itself, the road?
That project's right around $3.4 million.
Is that going? Where's the funding coming from?
Right now, the city has, in this budget and next fiscal year, $1.4 million allocated for this project. Once we get the design process and have a real succinct number, because the design may change what that final number is, my thought process is that we need to have some conversations with some of our other local government entities to see if there's any opportunity to participate with the project.
Well, if we're going to put this where you say we are, we need probably another $500,000 to $600,000 to replace our maintenance department. Have you thought about where that's come from?
Yes, we have brought that up and talk with some opportunities with Carol tomorrow. There might be some opportunities. I'm not at liberty to talk right now, but we are very, they won't be homeless, I assure you that.
Okay.
Them being homeless means I'm homeless too, because I'm in the same room.
And that's another point too. Where are you gonna move?
I'll just get a room in the hotel. I'll work in one of those kiosks.
Chris, what is the dollar amount you're asking for tonight?
We are asking for, as the recommendation from the company, DM&K, it's $267,500. I will say that that is a budgeted expense. It is in this year's budget to pay for that. So this is an item that the council has already lined item for this project.
Pretty simple.
Other
It's part of the
questions?
budget, so it don't matter.
I make a motion that we approve the funding for the engineering and design phase of this project.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I would
Chris.
just mention too, there's a number of people that live over there that don't live in Mirror Lake, that this will also be their way to bike or walk and get downtown.
Absolutely. Thank y'all very
And
much.
Chris, could you make sure this is on our website? Thank you.
Not the.
Well, some people
The pictures are good. It helps explain it when people are looking.
Yeah, I think if you could put the PowerPoint out there, that'd be good.
Okay, tab B, Community Development, Ms. Vicki Coleman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This first item up, the Douglas County GIS Department has begun its conversations with the cities that are along Highway 78 from their most eastern border all the way over to us. Part of what they will do this evening is talk to you about the proposed name change and potential readdressing of Highway 78. I'll let everyone finish walking out.
Don't take it personal. Y'all,
We have a lot more fun planned.
it happens. You still got one section here.
Anybody else? Should have served popcorn, I told you.
Chris can't talk anymore. Too many people leave.
Save you till last.
Well, here's the train, so.
You got about a minute.
You gotta come up with some money, put in the silencers out there.
Mr. Mayor, I did forget to mention something. Would it be okay if I mention that real quick while waiting on the train to clear?
Sure.
Okay. There's been a lot of questions about development in the city, what's going on here, what are they building there, and things like that. And I meant to mention this in my comments. But on our website, we have a spreadsheet that Rhonda and Vicki has come up with that you can go to our website and look under departments, and then building permits and inspections, and then permits issued, and it will show you all of the development, what process it's in, what they're putting there, what they've got the permits for, and all of that. So if you have any questions about development, I know Mr. Mayor gets a lot of calls about it, but it is on our website where you can review that and see what's coming right down the road from you or across the street. Thank you.
And I want to say thank you for that, because I just got this today, but you've sent some out very recently, but I think this is very helpful. Oftentimes, we do get asked about what's going on in this location or that location, and we don't know. So I appreciate that this is out there.
Where is Starbucks?
All right, Vicki.
When's Starbucks coming? When's most?
I think they're submitting next week. So back to that the item that I was just mentioning, what we have before us is there's a discussion, if you will, within Douglas County and all of its cities that sit along Highway 78. The discussion is about considering the renaming and readdressing of Highway 78, Bankhead Highway, excuse me. It's called Highway 78 by Georgia Department of Transportation, but locally, it's known as Bankhead Highway. But the discussion is really to consider renaming it to Veterans Memorial and consider readdressing those properties to address a lot of the public safety issues. We have a representative here from Douglas County GIS that can give you a little bit more information and can give you an update, if you will, regarding the discussions that have gone on with the other local governments as it relates to the renaming and readdressing of Bankhead Highway.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. My name is Ed Dean. I'm the GIS manager for Douglas County. I brought with me Lisa Ireland. She's our address coordinator for Douglas County as well. So if I can't answer any questions, I'm going to point you to her. E911 approached me to present the address issues that we have along Bankhead Highway. These issues can and have caused issues when deploying emergency services. Those issues include the address ranges, duplicate address and numbers along Bankhead Highway, the jurisdictions that it passes through, as Vicki has mentioned. It passes through the city of Austell, Douglas County, city of Douglasville, and Villa Rica. And in those jurisdictions, each jurisdiction has the task of addressing. And in the past, there has been no collaboration with each other when we assign numbers. And I think everybody working at the cities and the county didn't create this problem, but now we're having to deal with it. And the road names. We have it in our system that it changes names 6 times. Lithia Springs and Austell, it's Veterans Memorial Highway. It changes to Bankhead Highway, goes to East Broad Street, West Broad Street in Douglasville, back to Bankhead Highway, then to Highway 78. There was a resolution back in 2000 by the Georgia Assembly to designate the road through Douglas County Veterans Memorial Highway. So our proposal, we got together with 911 and our department. Our proposal is to readdress Bankhead Highway and change the name to what the General Assembly has designated to Veterans Memorial Highway. And this yesterday I gave a presentation to the Board of Commissioners. They are on board to move forward with the process as long as the cities are on board to do it. So we can reach an agreement that everybody's on board to do this. And if we are, then we will move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. And in his presentation,
Villa Rica. There's more property there that could be addressed later, but as of right now, there's 10 properties that are addressed.
but as of right now, there would only be 10 businesses or
Yes, sir.
buildings that are affected.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, you already answered my question. You already spoke with the Board of Commissioners. Are you asking us to do anything right now, or are you still waiting to come back to us with a proposal? Because I know that really what you're trying to do is make that entire portion of that road one name.
Sure.
We talked about Thursday how that, really what you're talking about, those 10 addresses are what's in the city of Villa Rica and Douglas County.
Yes, sir.
Once you reach that limit, we actually need to look at that
Yes, sir.
separately. But are you asking us to do anything tonight, or are you just presenting again?
I was just presenting again, but also for the county to move forward, we want to come to an agreement with each city that, hey, we're going to move forward, and then we can draw up a memorandum of understanding that we're going to move forward with this process, and then later on, we can have public hearings after that agreement gets signed with each city.
How's the other cities responding to your request?
Very well.
Okay, you're Douglas County only. Has someone in Carroll County addressing this problem?
Well, it would only affect, the city of Villa Rica and maybe
Douglas
Temple
County
eventually.
portion, yeah.
Yeah, but
And also the road name, that's what we're, suggesting. We don't have to go with Veterans Memorial Highway. If we want to go back to Bankhead Highway, Highway 78.
let me be the first to go on record as saying I'm in favor of making it Veterans Memorial Parkway.
Okay. We're fine with that.
Plus, often West Bankhead is associated closer into Atlanta, and I think it would distinguish that road area as not being part of that.
Sure.
Well, didn't you already tell us that the state legislature recognizes the entire Highway 78 as Veterans Memorial Highway?
They do, but each jurisdiction, we don't have to go along with that. That's just a suggestion. And along with that, I will say, that I think I spoke on last Thursday that each jurisdiction is responsible for the signage if we change the name. So
y'all aren't going to pay for the signs for us?
I'm sorry, I can't make that call.
Where's Chris? We'll let Chris do that.
David, what should we do right now?
I think all you need to do right now is just express your support for the efforts that they're putting forth and that let them know that we do intend to participate.
Should we assign a staff person to be the point person for?
I think you can. I'd leave that up to the city manager to decide who should do that.
Let's give him something else to do.
It won't be you, Chris. It's okay. No, this. There's a problem. 911 doesn't know where to go, and when you call 911, it's kind of nice to know that they'll be able to find you. So that's my concern. I guess it'll be a little further down the road with public hearings, that sort of thing, that people will go, well, no, I don't want to change the name, and that can come forward and get hashed out. At this point, we're just kind of saying, we need to do something. Let's work together with the cities and see if we can work this out. Now, once it hits, this is the only part I'm not totally clear about, this is Douglas County. Once it hits the Carroll County part, and we turn it into 78, Montgomery, all that, then we'll address that. Got it. Okay.
Further questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So can I can I go back and say Villa Rica is on board with this?
I make a motion we support this.
David, do we need to do that in a form of?
Some sort of resolution?
Yeah, I think.
Even if it's not in writing, though?
It was brought to me that to get your support, we will draw up a memorandum of understanding and then have you sign it.
Okay.
And then we can move
That
forward.
works.
But
Something in writing.
I don't think you need a motion right now. I think it's probably very clear to you that 100% of the council supports your efforts. So if you'll get us up in agreement, we'll consider it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I withdraw my motion.
Item number 2 is annexation 101-17.
And just clarify really quickly, it's 16.9 based upon their last modification of their site plan. But yes, this is a request to annex the property into the city of Villa Rica for the purpose of rezoning it from planned development in Carroll County to city of Villa Rica's, Carroll County's agricultural zoning designation to planned development.
Is that microphone, is it working so people can hear? Okay, good. Because I can't hear the speakers from up here, so I don't know. Okay.
So That is the request to annex.
16.9.
It is 16.9.
Mr. Mayor, a question had been asked to me as to whether or not you have to have two public hearings related to the annexation and then to the rezoning request. An annexation under the 100% method normally does not require a public hearing on making that determination. If the property were to be annexed and rezoned, then you clearly have to have a public hearing on the rezoning of the property.
Any questions of staff?
Do we have an annexation, do we have a public hearing for the annexation?
You're not required to have that. You are required, again, the state law is that if you are going to annex property in with a rezoning attached to it, before the annexation can take place, you have to have a public hearing on the rezoning request.
Okay, thank you.
If you're not going to annex the property, then no, you don't have to have a public hearing.
But we would still be under the understanding that if it is annexed, it would be expected to be requested to be rezoned. They're separated, but the understanding would be that if we approved annexation, there's also a request to rezone.
Correct.
Anything else?
Further questions of staff? What is the desire of the council?
Make a motion to deny the annexation.
Have a motion to deny the annexation? Second. Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Not all in favor? It is unanimous. So in essence, we just, then item number 3 is
Would be moot. We don't have the authority to rezone property that is not located inside the city of Billerica.
okay. Item number 4.
Item number 4, this is a request for alcoholic beverage license. The request is, the application was made by Mr. Shadid Raza Imran for Shala Brothers LLC. They're doing business as the Chevron Food Mart located at 157 Commerce Road in Villa Rica. This application is a change of ownership. They have gone through all of the proper procedures, and so the request for you is for approval.
I don't know if y'all want to make some kind of speech, but this is just this is an existing business. We just have a change of ownership here, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so I would make a motion that we approve the beverage license for Shadid Raza at the Chevron Food Mart, 157 Commerce Road.
This doesn't require any kind of hearing at all.
No.
Okay, I'll second it.
Is he present?
Are we on item 4?
That's what you said?
That is correct.
That's the racetrack, correct?
No.
No.
Okay, mine's different.
Oh, yeah, a lot of things changed on the agenda.
Here.
Got switched around.
Is the applicant present?
Racetrack got withdrawn, right, because it's done.
The applicant.
You have a motion and a
is not here.
second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? All opposed?
Now, how do you give the speech to the new owner if they're not here? You're going to go by and visit them?
I know, and I asked for that too. I'm kind of disappointed I don't get to make my little.
I didn't write it.
We got another one coming.
We got another one, let's get it first, and then you can make your speech.
Item number 5.
Make a motion that we approve the beverage license for 1217 Rockmart Road.
She hasn't presented it.
Don't need it.
She hasn't presented it yet.
I didn't present it yet.
I'll make that same motion.
Are they,
Is the applicant present?
not showing up.
Somebody's going to have to deliver your speech to them.
Yeah, I think the police department would be well qualified to go by and read the riot act to all of the new applicants.
It's pretty much just to make sure they clearly understand alcohol.
And what we-
Absolutely. So I'll bring them, if, what I'm hearing you, make sure they come back next month? Because
I think
his
what David
discussion
said is
was-
appropriate.
Oh,
As
that's-
long as someone, if
Okay.
our interim city manager,
I think maybe a recommendation would be that you strongly encourage that they show up, because we might not do that
Absolutely.
next month, or the next time we have an
good
application.
point, good point. I have a motion, and I believe I heard a second. All in favor? All opposed?
Trying to speed this thing up.
Appreciate that, Danny.
Okay, item number 6.
This is a conditional use request. It's requesting a conditional use to allow goats, a herding dog, to be used at the location of 123 East Wilson Street. The parcel number is V060020009. The property consists of roughly about 2.94 acres. The property, just, if I didn't quickly cover, this is in the downtown commercial area, so it does allow for mixed use. This application went before the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission's recommendation was to table it until the next meeting. Their concern was the issue of fencing the area. Part of what staff's recommendation, which was approval with the condition not to exceed, a maximum of 5 goats, but also the requirement to fence the area. The Planning Commission's concern was they wanted to certainly know and have more information presented to them regarding the fencing materials and exactly how it was going to be done.
So what are you asking us? If they recommended that it be tabled,
The application still has to come before you. That's simply their recommendation. So,
She's asking for us to send it back to planning and zoning, I do believe.
I think we should defer to planning and zoning, but I think it's kind of unfair to the people that are here that we don't really explain what this is. Is the applicant, I mean,
the applicant,
if I...
not here.
She's My problem with this is the planning and zoning hasn't finished with it. They tabled it because they wanted more information. I think we should just send it back to them and wait for it to come to us.
Because I would have the same concern, and my P&Z commissioner did call me and we discussed this, so I kind of feel like they do.
Sure.
About the fencing and that sort of thing.
I agree. I wanted to present it to you as it was presented to them, which is why the staff recommendation is included in there. But I would certainly support making sure that they have that information to provide to the Planning Commission.
Since it's come to us, I'll make a motion that we send it back to P&Z to complete the process.
Yeah, and I...
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman?
I was just going to say that I did send the information that I had in my packet to a constituent that was concerned, but you can go on the website and you can actually see what we're looking at. And afterwards, if you need that explained how to do that, just come up and see either Elisa or one of us, and you can read all about it and know as much as we know about it.
But I think the point is well taken, Vicki, and David, keep me honest here, but I think what I'm hearing would it be appropriate at that point for staff zoning board in this situation and then bring it to the council?
You know, not necessarily, because you've certainly got the power to ignore whatever the planning commission says. I mean, you usually don't.
Yeah,
You
that'd
have
be
the
bad
ability and
news.
power to do so, and there may be a time, I mean, I can't imagine what it would be, but there may be a time when you decide to act regardless of what the Planning and Zoning Commission has said. So I think if you want to table it, just, table it and send it back to them for action, but you're not required to do that.
I guess my concern, from a staff standpoint, certainly is important, but there may be people here that wanted to speak for or against, and, now they're going to have to come back to another meeting. Perhaps if they'd been, given that information.
Yeah, and you could still afford them the opportunity to have their say if you choose to before you vote to table it. I mean, you're thinking about the person that, came tonight because they saw it advertised and maybe they're not going to be in town next month when they come back and they want to, so I don't think it's a bad idea to offer people an opportunity to say what they want to say before you vote on tabling it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Would the author of the motion like to retract that? And then the second?
Well, let's see if there's anybody out there who wants to speak first.
You have to withdraw.
Yeah, you have to withdraw your motion, though.
Okay, I'll withdraw the motion, give them a chance.
Okay, the motion has been withdrawn. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or this
Rezoning.
Conditional use.
I lost my
This is
train of thought.
conditional use.
Is the applicant here?
She's
Okay.
not here.
So that was an exercise in
Futility. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion back.
It's a property that I'm thinking, aren't they already doing moving some brush or some?
I haven't seen. I rode by.
If it's, okay, here's down Rich Forward and then here's this church. It's right across the street.
Yes.
They moving some trees or some bushes or something.
Okay. Moving forward, I make that motion back. That we
Okay.
send this back to planning and zoning.
We have a motion to move this, to take this back.
Mr. Mecklen, the procedure process, if it comes, no matter how it comes out of planning and zoning, it comes to the council? I mean, that's the reason we heard it tonight, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, you're the only one that has the power to approve or disapprove a zoning request. The planning and zoning is an important body in that they are to deliberate and make give a reasoned opinion to the council, which the council ought to take into account. But you're the only one that has the power to actually make a decision.
I think that was the question on whether or not we need to hear that.
Right.
And that's the reason that bring it up.
I would strongly encourage the council not to cut out planning and zoning in the process, because we have them there for a reason.
I agree.
Yes, to that end, I would strongly encourage the planning and zoning to make a decision so that it doesn't have to come back over here.
They got some more information.
Do what they gotta do.
So you can.
Needed information.
I'd rather make a thorough investigation, doing right thing before they up and do something. I mean, we got them there to do this, so, let them do their job and then we.
Exactly. I agree completely. Yes, ma'am.
So the next item, this was just a very quick update on the Villa Rica North Loop bypass. On Thursday, representatives from Georgia Department of Transportation were here. Just really quickly so that everyone is aware, they are in the process of scheduling a public information open house meeting. That date has been set for July 20th. At that, the location of that will be at Powell Park. We're still firming down the exact times, which you can expect probably in the next 2 weeks or so. You'll notice signs that GDOT will be posting around the city, giving you information on the exact time and date and location of the open house. But at that particular meeting, you will be able to come in and certainly see the overall or general alignment of the plan itself. Particularly, they'll be showcasing information on the roundabouts beginning and end, and just the overall alignment. So the community will certainly have a chance to ask questions. I will say this, so that there is not any confusion. The July 20th meeting is specifically for the open house for the Villa Rica bypass. There is a general meeting that GDOT will be doing in June at Powell Park. But that is just for them to do a meeting to talk about projects that they have along I-20. It'll be in the same location, but I just want to make sure that there isn't any confusion when you see one meeting one month and another meeting the next month. So again, the June meeting is for general projects in the area, specifically along I-20, and then in July, there's one specifically for the bypass project. So
July
20th.
is the interstate, I mean, the
July 20th.
Round, the North Loop thing.
The North Loop bypass, and I'll roughly say the meeting is probably going to be somewhere from 5 to 8. It's not firmed up, but July 20th, roughly about 5 to 8 p.m. At Powell Park.
And Vicki, just for clarification for the audience, we're talking about I want to make sure that's a distinction, because that is a question that I get several times a week.
That is correct. It does not include Punkintown at Dallas Highway.
Council questions?
I'm just saying, you may not get that question, but we're going to keep getting questions because traffic is backed up there all the time. And 3 years I've been asking for some results, and a traffic light isn't going to work. Now they're saying a roundabout isn't going to work. So we got to come back to that because people are getting tired of sitting 40 cars back there trying to get through that part of town.
Well, to your point, I have asked which would include all. I certainly think that it's time that, we're spending money on comprehensive master plan updates, and we're doing all these studies, and I think it's important that we look at our traffic as well. And some good points that came out of that were, we have if we have Quick Trip at the corner of X Road and Y Road, then they would have to comply. Say this is what our plan calls, so that we can, empty those folks out of those businesses on the correct road. So I certainly want us to move forward with that, and I hope the council supports funding that at some point in the near future.
We would have to involve GDOT only because every time it comes to a state road like that, we can't do a thing without their permission. And in this case, they were going to actually pay for the resolution. So that's a topic for another day, but it needs to come up real soon again. The last I heard is there are issues now with that, and they're going to look at something else, and I need to be on whatever meeting that is that comes up so I know what's going on, because that's my ward.
That's the first I heard of that one, okay.
Okay, which roundabout are you talking about?
That's okay, we can do it next
The
work session,
Punkintown?
because it's
Yeah.
not on our agenda, it's okay.
Okay.
I just hadn't heard that there was problems with it. So
I didn't
that's-
either.
Once you said that, you kind of
Drew
drew
me.
my attention, and if there's a meeting, I'd like to know about it. I'll follow up after.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There was discussion that the roundabouts were too close together to be
Yeah, the
effective.
proximity.
And therefore, they were wanting to change the one from, I think it was at Punkintown, or one of them, they were going to change a design and do something differently, but they don't have
Right-of-way
a,
acquisition.
they have to do acquisition, all that, but they also, there's other stuff that needs to be discussed.
And one of this is a quick
That explains that, because Last I heard, they were acquiring property.
Right, and there were some challenges with that, so that's one of the reasons, that and the proximity issue.
Okay, this is information only, so there's no action to be taken. So moving along to tab C, Finance, Sarah Hefty.
Which
Good evening.
Section D.
Evening.
Well,
Again.
I'm just going by what I'm looking at.
All right, this is our monthly financial analysis from April, which is 33% of the year for numbers people. This first section is our general fund. This general fund, we account for the general administration of the city, the police department, the rec department, public works. You can see here that the total cash at the end of April for that fund was just over $7.5 million. It is higher at the beginning of the year because we've just received all the property tax money. Our reserve at this point is still $6.3 million, which is very healthy. And then those are our major revenue sources for the general fund, most of them being taxes. The first one is our local option sales tax. Our budget is $2.4 million, and we have received $557,000, which is just a hair lower than where we were at this point last year, so we're on target there. Property tax, we don't get this till the end of the year. So we've only received $147 so far this year, but occupational tax, this is your business license, well, your business taxes and things. We are at 87% of the budget, and we are 22% higher than last year. That's good. Permits and inspections, we spoke a little bit about this on Thursday, but so far this year, we are more than double our budget so far. We've received $223,000. And we'll see it in a second. We do have tap fees as well that are a little bit less than last year, but you can see here the permits and inspections are much higher than where we were last year. Well, we're comparing them differently, but we were saying that that's a good indication of growth in the city, but the question was asked, well, why are tap fees a little bit less? And it's a timing issue. You get your tap fees before construction even starts, so they can tap into our water sewer lines, and then the permits and inspections come at the end of their project. So if we had high tap fees at the end of last year, and now we're seeing the permits and inspections coming in. Next is our fund status. That's just overall. Our general fund budget for revenue and expense is $11.9 million. And right now our revenue is 20% higher than where we were last year, and our expense is slightly higher than last year as well. But we're at 28% of our budget, which is less than that 33% target number I was telling you earlier. Next is our enterprise fund, self-explanatory. That's our water sewer fund. We are working to improve this fund with the rate study, which has begun. Our total cash there for operating expense, or for operating anyway, is a negative $700,000. And as I mentioned in previous meetings, this does not mean we have a negative bank balance. It's just this fund, as part of our pooled cash, this fund basically owes cash to the other funds. We do have a CD in there of just over $2 million. We do have a bond for our sewer plant, our newest sewer plant, and that's over $33 million. And our equity right now is $1.4 million, which is basically equivalent to 3 months' worth of expenses. So that's kind of bare minimum, and we hope to improve that as we work to get this fund to be healthier. Revenue status there, that's our major revenues for that fund. Obviously, our water and sewer sales, both up slightly from last year, 4% and 3%. That's a good indication. And then tap fees, that's what I was referring to. We've received $95,000 so far this year, which is great. Those are either houses that are going to be built or commercial properties that are going to begin construction. So, and then the fund status right there, the revenue and expense, our overall budget for the year is just over $7.1 million for both revenue and expense there. The revenue is up slightly compared to last year, and our expense is up, it looks significant, but we're still only at 31% of our budget. So next is, if you want to go on up, Elisa. Next is our solid waste. This includes our garbage pickup from Waste Industries, a recycle pickup, and the solid waste, which is done through the city, the bulk pickup. Our operating cash in this fund is also negative at a negative $340,000. We hope to address this with the rate study. The equity is negative as well. This will all be addressed with the rate study. Our revenue is down 2%, which in this fund is, you're only talking about $4,500. Overall, the revenue and expense, the revenue again is just slightly less. You just don't have as much activity in this fund. The expense is slightly higher than last year for both our enterprise funds. I think it's attributable to it might be a timing issue of when the transfers are done, because these two funds contribute to the general fund for shared expenses. They help pay for legal, IT, your accounting department, that sort of thing. So that's that. Any questions on financial update?
Council questions? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tab D. Public Works, Pete?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
I'm speaking tonight about cost involved with installing a traffic calming device, which would be, the appropriate one would be a speed hump. We received 3 proposals. The first one was for a total amount of $4,885, and that was an asphalt-style speed hump. The second one was for $5,991, and the difference there was it would be constructed out of concrete. The third one that we received was twice the amount of these, or the highest one, so we threw that out. We also look for an appropriate location to put this speed hump. There are some challenges there with Golfers Way. There are some curves that goes up and down. Speed humps are not recommended to be put on a grade anything greater than 8%, but we do think that we came up with a location for consideration. So if you would, those 2 photos that we have. I would also like to say I personally had the opportunity to be out on site to observe some traffic, and we met with some residents out there that also gave some input that I thought was extremely helpful. This photograph here, of course, the circle to the left is the roundabout, the entranceway in the Golfers Way. You take a right, and as you go around the curve, it goes downhill toward the golf course, and then back uphill to the other cul-de-sacs at the top of the hill. Where you see the yellow mark there is where we feel it would be the most appropriate location. It's right after you top the hill coming from the golf course. It goes uphill. It's kind of in a blind spot just after you get into that curve, and you come up on those driveways pretty quickly. On the reverse of that, coming out of the cul-de-sac, people start gaining speed about that point as they're going downhill, going in the other direction. Some of the residents there close to that location too have, one has young children, the other one I think has some teenage children in it. So we feel that you have to have signage in front of this going both ways, also alerting people that there's a speed hump up ahead. Coming out of the curve, there is some landscaping there, some pampas grass that's in the curve there, which kind of creates the blind spot, if you will. If we put signage there, alerting people as they're starting to accelerate coming up the hill just prior to the hump location, we feel that would dampen the speed down in that location. It's kind of a clear sight of vision from the roundabout going toward the speed hump, but then we'd have signage ahead of that as well. So with all that being said, that's the location. If you want the other photograph, it pretty much shows you where it will be placed. This would be located between the residents 3107 and 3109 on Golfers Way. To the left over there underneath that tree is a transformer pad, but it would actually be between those two driveways. And you can see in the distance there, the road just starts going downhill at that point. So that is our recommendation for the placement of that speed hump, if you so desire to have one installed.
Okay, I've got a few questions for you, Pete.
Yes, sir.
Best of your knowledge, does this meet all GDOT requirements as far as sight distance, signage?
Sight distance, I'll have to go back and check that. It may be kind of tight on the sight distance. I think we're okay from the roundabout, but it may be a little questionable once you come up the top of the hill.
Okay.
If not, we'll have to pull it back, mid-block.
I just want to make sure that we do that.
Right.
And this is just a comment. I would like to see this council do this in concrete rather than asphalt. In my experience doing the asphalt, and concrete is a more permanent solution to that, and I think it's more attractive too. So I would like us to at least consider that. And would it be, this may be a David Muckman question, can we use SPLOST dollars that are allocated to Douglas County roads for this project?
It is in Douglas County, isn't it? Yes.
Okay.
Pete, when you were out there, you said you spoke with some of the residents. Did they have any feedback with this location?
They thought it was a great location.
You answered one of my questions already with the idea of having the signs in advance, so when those people come around that curve. So are you saying, with your professional opinion of dealing asphalt, concrete, in the long run, will it save us money if we go with concrete because it's going to wear longer?
The upside in using concrete as opposed to asphalt is asphalt will deflect, which means it'll have a hole in it. So if you drive over those speed humps that are there now, you can see where the traffic has pressed the asphalt down. That's strictly from an aesthetic standpoint, but it's also a transition from that basically concrete block to the landing, if you will, on top. There's a little bit of a change in that. Concrete's a little bit more, but I think it's a more durable surface. The downside to concrete, quite frankly, is the markings that you're going to put on it don't adhere to the concrete like they do to the asphalt, because asphalt's more porous. But I think if you look at the longevity of the ones that we put in, we have speed humps, speed tables at Goldust Park, and we actually have 2 at Goldust Park and 1 at North Avenue in front of Ms. Sullivan's house, and those have held up quite well. So
I appreciate the fact that you engage the people that live out there that have the problem, so if somebody needs to trim something, that they kind of have buy-in to helping make sure that for the motorists coming through that it's, they have as much notice as possible too.
If we do this, then I think next month we either need to do away with all the requirements that we're asking subdivisions and people to do to get a traffic calming device, because we're going against totally what the police department says is appropriate. And they are saying no to a traffic device based on speed. I'd like to see us say no to it this month and change the speed to where it's appropriate for everybody when they come back in. And we've gone through this before. We went through this when we did all of the calming devices and the 2 subdivisions down 61, and that's the reason we did that, is that basically we did not want people from all over the city wanting traffic calming devices in the front of their house to slow someone down. That's what we have police for. But in the same respect, we're being asked now to do away with one of those requirements and simply toss it aside and say okay to this one.
Is the requirement what's the statistics here on the number? I'd like us to revisit that. The problem I've run into since I've been on council is we've got speeding going on in numerous places that we've had complaints for years about, and all I hear about is what we can't do. Now, some of it's very logical. We can't do radar on a road that does this and goes curvy, and the police force can't be everywhere, but we still got people speeding all up and down those roads. I want to hear what we're going to do to resolve it, not always that, well, we don't do anything. Either we can't and then we don't. I want to see some resolution to these roads, whether it's Old Town with the way they fly down that little road, to Punkintown, to Dogwood, to Miss Shirley Street, and I drove that one too, and I know why they want to speed down that road.
But that's not the issue at this point. The issue at this point, are we going to do away with the requirements for traffic calming devices? I mean, I understand what you're talking about, and I agree with you, but, we have an issue in front of us that we got to make a decision on, whether it's tonight or next month.
Well,
Councilman, would you be comfortable, I'm probably going to steal your thunder, and I'm sorry if I do that, but I think we have a subdivision and a neighborhood group that has come to us with a petition and said, we have a problem, and we would like for you to have some solution to that. And I think what I hear you saying is that the process or the procedures that we have in place now, we're violating those, basically.
Correct.
To put this one in. I don't know if it's fair to punish the people on Golfers Way necessarily. If we feel like that needs to be rewritten, I'm not saying whether we need to or not, but I'm just saying if we feel like there's a need to rewrite that, I would just suggest that maybe we look at that and give staff some direction as to where we want to go in that regard. I'm not sure that we want, and I don't think anybody up here saying this, that we want to particularly punish the neighborhood because of that.
Well, I don't want to punish the neighborhood. I mean, and I've said this quite often. Laws are laws, and if you don't like the law, change the law. But until then, you go by the law. And right now, we have that process to put traffic calming devices in anywhere in the city of Villa Rica that they go through the process. They bring it to the council, and they say, council says yes to it, and it goes on.
And that's not punishing the neighborhood, that's actually getting the cart behind the horse instead of the way it is now.
Making rules if you're not going to follow them.
I'm to the point of saying this. If we simply will table this to next month, I'll be the first one to make the recommendation after the process has been changed to the chief, I should say the police department and the chief, it's okay. And we're talking about the speed above the speed limit, the number of people above the speed limit that cause in this process. And I think it's, 41 miles? It was 41 miles an hour, and there was one but two. And
was
that's the
one,
reason we
but,
said this.
I think it's the 85 percentile, isn't it? That 85% of the cars have to be exceeding the speed limit.
That's what we need to look at.
I think it's exactly.
I think that needs to be a more realistic number for us to say yes. And that's not to say that by next month there'll be 15 or 20 places in the city to ask the same question. Why can't we have one over here? And I'm like y'all now. I don't know an answer to that.
let me say, these folks went through a pretty extensive process to get this speed hump. They've been working on it since January. And I have no problem with going back and looking at this ordinance. In fact, I think this ordinance needs to be looked at. It probably should have been looked at long before this. But I think that to put this off again wouldn't be fair to those residents. And I'll tell you why. The ordinance actually itself gives this council the power to make that decision over and above the specifics of that ordinance. That being the case, I still would like to make a motion that we approve this design and the location that Pete has just brought to us.
Okay. I think I have a group of names, about 1,741, that won't say red light at Rocky Branch Road and 78 too, but that ain't gonna happen.
Let's talk about this. We have a motion on the floor to approve this
concrete, on the concrete bid or the asphalt bid.
concrete on, concrete bid.
To be constructed of concrete.
I'll second that with the understanding that we will go back and revisit this ordinance to try to make it, at least look at it to make it more reasonable as far as the demands to put in a speed bump.
Okay, are you going to amend your
Or
motion?
hump, or table.
I will amend my motion to include that revisit.
Okay, so the motion is to approve. I've been around David Beckham too long. I have a motion and a second. All opposed? The vote is 3-2 in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Tab E, Government. This is, do we?
I have a correction for the March 30th. On page 3, second paragraph. Page 3, March 30th. Second paragraph. Change the word cancel to council.
Okay. Any other changes? So the motion would be to approve the minutes of March the 2nd. And okay, item 2.
To amend the charter of the city of Villa Rica under the home rule provisions of the state code. And the purpose of this is to delete section 9.11, which states that we should have a Board of Zoning Appeals. The history of this is that our Uniform Development Code that we enacted a number of years ago essentially did away with the Board of Zoning Appeals and put their functions in the Planning Commission and the City Council. Upon a review of the charter last year, it was noted that we were supposed to have a Board of Zoning Appeals. One was appointed. They have worked very vigorously, diligently, and done a great job in their short existence. So that's what is before you, is to do away with the Board of Zoning Appeals and to go back to following the Uniform Development Code.
Are we now to the point of voting on it?
Yes, this would be the final vote. You voted last month to approve it, and if you vote again this month to approve it, that would be the 2 required times in order to change the charter. We have advertised it appropriately, so this is the final vote if you choose to do it.
I'll make a motion that we approve this change, this ordinance change.
Okay, I have a motion.
You have the ability to increase the number, but at some point it becomes unwieldy, and before we do that on the spur of the moment, I would say that we need to consider that. Certainly, I would propose that we send a letter of gratitude to all of the existing members, just to give them our thanks for their service, and to let them know that, we'll be looking around for other volunteers. We really did identify a whole new group of people that had not previously been involved, that became involved, so we need to draw on their training and their experience in that role.
Discussion? Discussion?
We had a motion and a second, so yes, we are in discussion.
Just briefly, that as we do look at our planning and zoning board and think about these people that maybe won't be on the appeals, I know we try to pick people from our ward, but there are some people that have good background in this, and sometimes we end up with people in our ward who don't want to serve. I'd like to see us consider the fact that we can use someone else that has this background, especially when we don't have many people in our ward that want to put forth, that volunteer time to serve.
I agree with David. I'm not sure who's going to coin the letter, but I certainly am in agreement with that. And I would. I think this is an unusual situation where we have two boards that are basically merging into one, and I would like the more, if all, but certainly look at that. I don't know how you put that in the form of a motion, but look at it. So,
I think the staff has heard your comments, and we'll pay attention to them.
How many is on there?
How many ZBA members do we have right now? 5?
There's 5, but then doesn't the chairman, is the chairman somebody's ward? He votes.
No, it's 5. I mean, on this, what we delete.
Planning zoning appeals.
No, the board of
Appeal.
How many is on that board?
On the Planning and Zoning Board, there are...
No, on the appeal board.
The BZA.
5.
5 on each.
5 on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm not sure how many we have right now active on the Planning and Zoning Board.
It's 5.
Vicki, how many?
5. You got 5.
There's 5.
So we have 5 on each.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one for each ward.
But does Kurt votes, does he not? He's the chairman?
He was appointed by Councilman Best.
Okay.
And I would certainly think that we would make sure that we have active members on that Planning and Zoning Board, and perhaps that would be a good chance to move some of the active members on ZBA to the Planning and Zoning Board. So. Okay, I have a motion and a second for discussion. It is unanimous. Where does that take us, sir?
You're up. Excise tax.
Land and impose excise
you?
tax. Number 3.
Okay. And the next item is excise tax. Who is going to?
I'll be glad to explain what that is. Several years ago, the state law was amended so that sales tax was eliminated on energy manufacturers. Power companies quit paying sales tax on some of their products. But when that law was passed, it did give counties and cities the opportunity to impose an equivalent energy excise tax. Carroll County just didn't do that for a number of years, but the county is apparently voting tonight to impose that energy excise tax within Carroll County. And it will be a tax on the sale of energy in manufacturing processes. I can't tell you how much money it will raise, but it will raise some money. And the legislation that provides for this states that any municipalities in the county can vote to participate in it also. So, in reality, there's no reason not to vote for this, because the county is going to be raising the money inside the entire county anyway, and the distribution of the funds that are raised under the statute or it's just based on whatever the loss distribution is. So we'll get our share just as we would of local option sales tax. I forget what the percentage is, but it's
8.78.
Yeah, something like that. And so, I mean, our choice tonight is either to refuse to take the money that's going to be raised or to take our share.
Well, we don't have anything to vote on today.
I think the estimate was 27,000.
Yeah, 27 to 30,000. Where's Chris Pike at? We're not talking about.
No more PowerPoints.
But
is this presentation only?
No, I think we need to, I had believed that I had sent you a copy of the proposed, the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the intergovernmental agreement with the county. That's what you would be voting on.
Okay. It's in here somewhere.
Authorizing the mayor to sign on.
And just for clarification, like David said, you know,
I'm disappointed that Carroll County's doing this and imposing an excise tax on manufacturers. They already pay on energy. They already pay for their energy. It's just, I understand that they're in a bind, and I do understand they have a revenue issue, especially with being able to pay sheriffs, first responders, fire department, that sort of thing. So I understand that that is a need. I'm disappointed that they're collecting it this way, but the fact is, they are going to collect it no matter what we do. They're going to collect it. We can either, what you said, take the money or let them keep it. So I say if they're going to collect it anyway and they're collecting it from our people, that we should get that share.
Second that motion.
Is that a motion? We don't have a motion to sign them.
Authorize you to sign the intergovernmental agreement with the county.
And I have a second. Any discussion? Not all in favor? Unanimous.
Okay, I want to bring something up before we...
Me too.
Before we do executive session. In the work session, we discussed some traffic signs for Mirror Lake Boulevard for the 18-wheel trucks. And we talked about staff coming back and giving us some proposals about where those would be located, but it's disappeared from the agenda. Pete, can you help me?
We did go on site, and there is some existing signage that is poorly placed. You can't see it. One of the signs has vegetation growing over it. And while I was actually at the location at 61 in Punkintown, an 18-wheeler was taking a left, and of course he was oblivious to the sign because he couldn't see it. And once you commit to that big rig going up that road, you know, it's a done deal. So staff and I have gone ahead and located not only new locations to place larger signage, both at on 61 approaching from either side of Punkintown. And we're looking also on the upper end to try to put signage up there as well. So we've come up with a sign count, and we've got staff trying to get pricing on it right now. I just couldn't get the pricing done by this meeting, but we're working on it.
Where would you put the sign?
You can't talk. You can't.
Where are we going to put the signs?
Right in the middle of the road? Yeah.
Huh?
Is it, I mean...
No, it'll be on 61 on either side of it, whether you take a right or you're coming the other direction and take a left.
Just a regular sign on the side of the road that they're supposed...
Yes.
They're ignoring?
And it'll be...
It'll be clear to them that it relates to Punkintown, not no through trucks on Dallas
Yes, and
Highway.
it'll have that verbiage on it.
Would it be helpful for the fine, do you think it would be helpful to have the fine on it, or maybe even increase that fine, or
What is the fine?
you told me?
It falls under a city ordinance, so it's $250. Now, you did change the,
Chiefs Crossing?
for the Chiefs Crossing, if they're on the railroad tracks and they cross the railroad tracks like that, then that's $1,000. But
Yeah, that'd be
the
a
one
little
on Pumpkin Town Hall is $250. No truck zone.
Were those
250?
signs 30 by 30?
250?
I certainly want to see us
I know
do
you told us.
anything we can to deter that 18-wheel traffic over there, but it sounds like you're telling me, which I've also seen, in some cases, these trucks don't even see this signage.
No.
So it may be best that you continue to look at ways to remedy that before we look at.
It's only fair. If you're going to hit them with $250 or any amount, we need to at least be fair that we've marked it well.
So first step, and then we'll look at increasing the fine perhaps down the road. Councilman Best, you said you had something?
Yes, it seems as though July 3rd is on a Monday.
Is that bad?
I mean, that first Tuesday of the month, I think we are sitting around here, aren't we?
No, the meeting was moved at the first of the year to the 11th.
Oh, well, good.
Did we? Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, y'all have fun.
They didn't know that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, though. Thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot it got moved.
They didn't know that. He didn't know that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I would
Pending or threatened litigation with legal counsel.
All right, so moved.
Second.
have a motion second on. We are in, all opposed? We're in executive session.
I would say also, Mr. Mayor, that I don't anticipate that any action is going to be taken subsequent to the executive session.
I was trying to get my book in order in the front seat so Rab. That was interesting.
Sure, that was a treat.
But you know what? At least I had the email with everything on the goats was on my iPad, so I could read everything about the goat issue that we had.